Five, four, three, two, one. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to CIE. I'm going to be your host today, Daniel Zdroid Boss. I'm here joined by my three guests, Emil Vanyaka. We got Lanvi Suki Nguyen, or Wen, and Eric Itlong Chong. It's going to be a great panel today. Today, we're going to be talking about careers in production, specifically for art design and gaming. It's going to be a great day today. I'm excited. Why don't we introduce ourselves a little bit? Emil, why don't you start us off? And on top of our
Absolutely.
introduction, what's your favorite game?
Um, Favorite game of all time is Counter Strike. Counter Strike's really what opened my eyes to esports. So the very first beta I played in an internet cafe down the street for about $3 an hour, and yeah, I've been on it ever since. Obviously, I play a lot of other games, but CS is my gateway drug, if you want to call it that. Emil Vanyaka, Senior Operations Manager at 2K, is my day job. I also sit on the board of directors of Esport Canada, so national body for esports for Canada. I sit on the board of directors of the Quebec Esport Federation, and I'm also on the judging panel for the Canadian Game Awards and a slew of other stuff. Historically, I had my own esports org and a couple of esports leagues, mostly based in Quebec as well.
Okay, that's a lot. And nice to meet you. Very interesting information. We have a Quebecian with us. All right. And
Quebecian.
Lanvi, what why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so how I started in esports is through Humber Esports. I was the president of the Humber Esports Club, now known as Humber Gaming, and I was running that for about 2 years. Um, and I graduated recently. Well, not that recent, but last year.
Hmm.
And then I was working as the health and wellness performance coach over at Humber Esports as well for about 2 years. And now that I've graduated, I've been working at a local card shop called Gateway Cards here in Brampton, Ontario. And I've been working as a social media manager as well as helping, run the store or about, I want to say, 6 months. And then I've also branched out and decided to pursue my dream of creating art. I've been kind of an avid painter and traditional artist since I was a kid. Impressionism was like my bread and butter. Like I love Claude Monet and Group of Seven.
Hmm.
And I've been doing art and now I've opened my own business and my own online storefront to sell my art. And it's very heavily anime and Pokemon inspired. I do have some Pokemon fan art, and the video game that kind of led me into esports and expanding my career would definitely be, unfortunately, League of Legends. Fortunately, unfortunately, some people may say. And
It's
then I got into Valorant as well, and I was very lucky to have had the opportunity to work with Red Bull and help run their booth over at VCT Toronto last year. So yeah, that's my whole, I guess,
v-
portfolio.
very nice working with Red Bull and an avid Riot Games enjoyer. Riot Games does some wonderful things for so many. And Eric, last but certainly not least, why don't you introduce yourself and hit us with your favorite game of all time?
Yeah, I'm Eric at Log. Yeah, similar to Suki, I guess, avid Riot enjoyer myself. What got me into esports was also League of Legends. I guess you could also say that's probably my favorite video game then in that case, the one I spent the most hours on. For me, founder of Cupid Esports, competing in the tier 3 grassroots space of North America. Looking to push the tier 2. Outside of that, also co-owner of West Point Esports, competing in Riot's PCS,
Mhm.
based in the Philippines. But yeah.
Oh, well, very nice. That's interesting to get to know everyone. We got one CS Valve enjoyer and then the two Riot enjoyers here. But I want to start us off getting to just dive deeper into your guys' careers and how you got there. We all talked about it a little bit, but what made you want to pursue your career in the gaming industry? Not necessarily what or not necessarily what got you there, but why you wanted to pursue it. And Lonby, why don't we start with you?
Me? Ooh.
We can start with
Um,
somebody else if you'd like. If you want to
no,
take some time to
we can
think
start
about
with
it.
me. We can start
Okay.
with me. So like the reason why I decided to pursue a career in esports was because I I myself was kind of a competitive person. I participated in a lot of sports growing up. However, I kind of had to stop because of some health reasons. Like I was a competitive dancer at one point in time, but I
Hmm.
had to stop that completely. Like I was doing too many extracurriculars, and one of the ones was sports and like anything to do with physical activity. I actually had to put a stop on. Um, and then I started getting into video games. I got introduced to League of Legends. Whether that's a miracle or not is up to you guys to decide. um, and then yeah, it just like kind of pretty much took off from there. And I also noticed that there weren't a lot of women like me in the industry, so I also wanted to I guess I put myself out there and make it a space that was also inclusive for women as well. So yeah, that's and then I also added in my degree of like kinesiology into esports. So that's how I became a health and wellness performance coach. And then after I graduated, I kind of felt like I was having like a rough time. So that's where I decided, hey, maybe I should just start my art right here, right now. And here I am. Yeah, lots of
It's, ve-
stuff.
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of background there. Very different direction than a lot of people I've heard about. And yeah, it's always nice to see different perspectives. But Eric, why don't we hear it from you on why you wanted to pursue your current career of being from what I believe, the head of Cupid Esports, correct?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess for me, what kind of got me into the esports side, um, is for one, I've always been interested on the management side of things, especially what goes on behind the scenes, and so I guess what I touched on last week about me not being good enough to be a player, and so that's why I chose the route of management. Yeah, I'm sure Emil remembers that. Yeah, so that's why I chose the route of management, especially with the esports industry still being very new. You know, I felt like there's a lot of opportunities to sort of, at least showcase more of that creative freedom kind of side to it. And just working along with the grassroots for the past few years, it's been super great way to get into the industry through the amateur space, and just being blessed to work with a group of really strong players, different staff, and it's allowed Cupid to kind of grow to where we are today.
It's very interesting. It's not often you hear people talk about being the head of esports, which is always cool to see. And Emil, what about you? How did you get here? I did a little bit of research.
Long
I
winding
saw
road.
long yeah, I saw a long path to get here. But why don't you let us know?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was a big gamer. Like I said, Counter Strike was really how I got into the competitive side. But I've always played video games. Got a computer early on, and but while I was growing up, it was never really like with my parents. It was never really like a yeah, you're gonna go into video games. It was just a hobby. It was something you like to do. Back then, it wasn't as popular or as cool as it was today. So career in video games wasn't really even like a remote possibility in my mind. Um, I pursued I pursued my studies in business and law school due to some of my projects in gaming and esports kind of led me towards interest in startups, interest in the legal side of things. Became a lawyer eventually, worked in a couple of large law firms here, focused on emerging tech companies. Eventually went into one of those, which was a biotech cancer research company. But on the side, I always had that gaming and esports passion, and every time I have a passion, I tend to build projects around it for whatever crazy reason. Um, so eventually I was kind of practicing as a lawyer or as a director of operations, and I had my own esports organization with a bunch of teams, and we were running events and doing podcasts and sitting on a couple of boards. And my wife came to me and was like, can you stop with the 6 different jobs? Like, that's just absolutely ridiculous. So A couple of years ago, I started looking at really getting into the gaming space more seriously, and it took me about 2 years. I was fortunate enough not to have to change jobs. I had a very good job at the time, but so I took my time to really find something that was interesting to me with my skill set in business and law and strategic affairs. Eventually, fell into this business operations role at 2K, which I absolutely love. It's central team in a very big company with a lot of games being made, but also kept my foot in esports. Like I said, I'm on the board of directors of namely Esport Canada. So we talk to like the Olympic Committee, the Canadian Olympic Committee. We talk to the international sports bodies trying to really promote Canada on the esports scene. We get involved with the ENC, so the Esports Nations Cup going on in Saudi. We have a team in FIFA E right now as well. So really trying to promote that. It's not my full time job. It's not my day job. I don't necessarily plan on it being my day job either. But yeah, eventually it came full circle. So my hobbies and passions became viable as a full time job, and with the background that I had, um, was fortunate enough to find interesting positions where I could apply my skill set to.
That's a very long road there, yeah.
Yeah,
And I really
you got
want
to
to
find all the
touch.
things you don't like in order to get to the ones you do like. You know.
Yeah. It's really cool to hear, you talk about a lot of passion for gaming and a lot of passion for the workspace, and that's, one of the questions I wanna ask you guys is, what's on our side of the screen, the production, the management, that feels magic to you, like, that has the passion, that gives you the motivation to keep going here? Is there any specific thing here that gives it to you, or is it a generalization of it? What is the magic of our side of the screen for you guys? Eric, why don't you start us off here?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there is magic. I think it's just hard work and commitment to the industry. Um, as we've kind of touched upon on behind the scenes of the org, it doesn't happen overnight. It kind of is a long process of building and waiting for the results to eventually come in, which you never know when it may be. So yeah, I think it's just for me, it's just wanting to be a part of the industry early and then just understanding the work that falls in. Still trying to learn more about the work that falls in. I haven't completely understood it yet, but just as putting in as much as I can each day to try growing the org.
And that passion that you have for the org, is that what keeps you going? Is there other reasons?
Yeah, for sure. Mostly it is passion. Yeah.
That's always interesting to hear. Lonvi, I want to hear from you. You started about starting your own art business. How is that going? And how is that on your side? How are you dealing with it? Is it the passion that's keeping you going? Is it the love for art?
Okay, so I'm gonna be really honest. It's not easy. It's can be very discouraging to start your own art business. Like I'm starting from the ground up. Like my budget is a small one. Some people have bigger budgets than I did when they started, and I was very intimidated. And it's really hard to not compare yourself to someone else who has been at it for many years. And for me, I think like I'm an avid journaler as well. I like to keep track of myself and how I feel about certain things, because if I don't put my 100% into something, I can see it falling apart. Um so one of the quotes I took in this year was, a year from now you'll wish you started today. So that's where, and I took that in and I was like, you know what? Let me just start it. It's going to be rough, but the hardest part is getting started. And then once you start, it'll be easier from here. So, starting my own like art account on Instagram and then on Twitter, and trying to put my name out there, Suki Studios, that's the name of my business. Um, it's difficult, and then building up the art and trying to build an audience and potential customers. That was pretty difficult. It's very slow and gradual, but it's better than building it up really fast and then losing all your whole entire audience and losing interest, and then also trying not to push yourself through burnout. Um so I think, like, for me, like, what kept me going was not only like myself and my passion for art, because I've always had people, like, ask me, like, "Why haven't you sold your art? Your art's been in galleries. Why haven't you sold it?" And then I was like, "I just don't think anyone would buy it." And then as of, like, recently, a lot some people have taken interest into my art. They've taken interest into my mail club, which is like a subscription, and I just send out, like, mail, like, little art stuff for people.
Oh.
Yeah, so it that stuff is really cute, and it's better than getting credit card bills in the mail, just saying. So, um, and, I also had, a lot of support, especially from my partner, my boyfriend, shout out to James. He has been helping me fund my business as well, and he has agreed to help me with, vending and cutting stickers for me. As we had like a little conversation earlier, I literally finished one of my biggest orders ever, and it was 200 stickers, and that's a lot. And by the way, I don't have a Cricut yet, so I cut every single individual sticker by hand with a pair of scissors. So, starting off like with barely anything, it can be very discouraging. Like, really, right now, I only have like my iPad that I've been using for years to draw everything out, and I have my printer and paper and all that, all the smaller supplies that are more feasible versus a 200 something plus cutting machine that works wonders. But yeah, I just think like the for me, like the best advice is to continue doing what makes you happy, because the reason why I kind of stopped doing art, and I mean, like, I do love kinesiology, I do love the sciences. What kind of made me stop pursuing my art endeavors was I was going through a really large like art block. I felt like what I was drawing wasn't good enough. It doesn't fit what everyone else thinks what art is. And one day I like thought to myself, why should I let someone else determine what my art should and shouldn't be? And why don't I draw things that make me happy? So yeah, I think that's it for me on that question.
Well, that you say that's it, but it's quite a lot of info, and it's a lot of great info. It's really cool to hear how things start up. Um, but kind of in a contrast, Emil, you came from one business to another. You didn't really start up in the gaming industry. How was it for you transitioning? You already briefly mentioned it. How is it transitioning for you, and what keeps you going in this industry? Is it maybe you were talking about the team you're working with? Is it truly the love for the game? What is it?
Um, yeah, I think first and foremost, what Eric and Suki are doing is super laudable. Entrepreneurship is really hard, but really, really interesting. And just hats off to every entrepreneur out there. I worked with a lot of startups when I was in law firms, and it's very, very cool and very, very difficult. But the passion behind it is awesome, which is why I loved to work with them at the time. Myself, I did start, a couple of small projects, but it was never in the interest or with the thought of trying to do it full time.
Okay.
Um, as for my kind of transition into gaming and why I'm there and what keeps me there. Mostly it's the fact that it's so crazy and chaotic. Esports and gaming in general, esports, nobody's kind of figured it out. Everyone's losing money in esports. The business model's not there. It's existed for a while, but it's still a very nascent industry, and people are trying to just navigate this wild west where historically they had depended on a lot of venture capital and investment money to prop up their businesses without really any visibility as to how they were ever going to turn a profit or have a positive return on investment. That kind of started dipping right after that boom in COVID, and then we were talking about an esport winter, which has now been kind of, let's say, delayed due to a lot of Saudi propping up of the industry as well.
Mhm.
So I really like it because it's chaotic, and games is kind of the same. I'm in a very big game developer, game publisher. I've looked at other ones across the industry from indie to AA to AAA, and it's a tough market. It's super competitive. We're not just competing with games anymore. We're just competing with entertainment in general. Our biggest competitors are, yes, other game publishers, but also things like TikTok and Snapchat and Reels and Netflix. And so, it's just entertainment. There's so many hours in a day that you need to now dedicate to so many different pieces of entertainment that it just all jumbles into one. And it's such an interesting, strategic, chaotic jungle to weave through. And that's really what keeps me there. There's no boring day. There's no redundancy. There's no just do what you always do kind of thing. It's always new. Um, and as far as like your question on production goes, I think for esports, that's really the looking glass and the lens and the catalyst that got esports to where it is today. Without the viewership, you don't have the dreams, you don't have this spectacle, this entertainment that esports necessarily is, right? Like, yes, it's a competition, but at the end of the day, it's entertainment. That's what we're selling. We're selling that dream for kids who see League of Legends Worlds with how many millions of dollars, and then these huge names on billboards now in Korea and stuff. So that all comes from the production side of things. So if you are looking at careers in gaming and esports, there's just such a slew of careers there. So get involved, and what Suki did at Humber is a great way to start. You get exposed to not only maybe becoming a professional player, but like Eric, I was never good enough, but also everything that comes with producing, casting, marketing, the art side of things like Suki does, the business side, the legal side, the financial side. So it's really it's an industry in and of itself, and you can really contribute to it in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It is actually a very good transition to what I wanted to bring up next. Talking about how people are starting. Would you guys recommend people come into the industry the way you guys or you did, with all the chaos, the stress? Do you think it's something that you'd recommend to others? Or do you recommend a different path? Maybe taking the routes. Emil, you came from uh, a much different path than the others. Would you recommend your path? Do you think you'd recommend different, or do you think it doesn't really matter as long as you have that love? Why don't you start us off?
Um, Definitely the passion is the underlying thing for this industry, but it's also what makes it hard. Like, so many people love video games and esports that if you do want to break into the industry for something that's self-sustaining and where you can actually make a living wage, it's very, very competitive. Like, I'm not going to hide that fact, and it's very chaotic. Like, there are studio closures, there are esports org closures, there are layoffs all the time. So you do need that passion, A, to navigate that anxiety, and B, to actually have the follow through to break into it. There isn't one way to get in. I think the way that Eric and Suki did it, and kind of I did too with my own org, is start your own projects. And like Suki said, I love that quote she used. It's just start. You're gonna regret you didn't start today, a year from now. So um, yeah, you can start your own projects. I think it's a small world. Network as much as possible. Go to events, add people on LinkedIn. There's mentorship programs, there's lists, and we're very approachable in the space, or at least that's been my experience. If you send messages to people that have similar passions to you, they typically answer you and are happy to introduce you and have discussions. Um, but I do also very much, and this is probably from my upbringing, encourage having backup plans. Like I said, it's a tough space. If it is your passion, that's great, but you can also have interests. So I had interests in business and law, and that's why I pursued those studies. And those interests can be leveraged to then break into the space, kind of like I did. You can be an accountant, you can be a marketing person, you can be an artist, you can be, really anything, a photographer, and break into gaming and esports. So, keep that passion in mind, but also follow your interests, and merging the two is really kind of the dream at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a very great point, especially merging the two interests. Lanvi, you, I mean, you started your own art business, and Hi too. Hello. Um, uh, do you want to try to be merging that more with maybe making art for an esports production, anything of that, or do you truly just love art for the sake of art and want to keep business directly with that art? And again, going back to that original question of, is this a path that you would recommend to others, or would you recommend something else?
Um, okay, so in terms of what I want to do with my art, I do like art for the sake of art. Um, and I'm like very open to trying new things. I think that's one thing that people are kind of shy of doing, trying new things. You don't know until you try. You don't know if you like it. Yeah, like Emil said, like you have to try a bunch of things that you don't like to see what you do like. And furthermore, in terms of breaking into esports, how I did it was through my college slash university. So I was a kinesiology student over at Guelph Humber, and since it's a partnership school between Humber Polytechnic and University of Guelph, I could choose to represent the esports team over at Guelph
Hmm.
or at Humber, but I chose to do Humber because they were much more feasible in terms of distance. Um, and yeah, one thing I do recommend again, touching with what Emil said, it's very important that you have backup plans. Not everything may go as you want, like as plans. Like I never would imagine myself working at a card store until like as my day job until recently when my high school friend reached out and was like, "Hey, I'm opening up a card store. Do you do social media?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And that's how my career in that industry started up. And card games kind of they're in the same family as esports. It's still pretty competitive with all of the locals that help you qualify for regionals and whatnot that we hold at our store and
Hmm.
at other card shops as well. Um, and touching with my kinesiology degree, I decided to get into esports to combine something I love. I do like kinesiology, like I said, I do like the sciences, as much as I do like the arts, and decided to bring that into my love for esports and video games. So I think it's really important to see how what you like generally, like whether it's like the video games, right? And then plus what your other interests are, like for example, like art, or for me it was coaching, like health and wellness and performance coaching, and I
Hmm.
decided to combine that into esports and integrate that because there's pretty much like if you think there wasn't a market for something, there probably is somewhere out there. So I think it's just look around, see what you like, see what you don't like, and just try it out. Give it a spin. So yeah, that's it
Yeah.
from me.
On one of our previous panels, we had the health and wellness coach from G2 Esports actually come on in for their Valorant team, I believe. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But yeah, as you're saying, and Emil was as well, connecting passion and trying to kind of bring that in with anything and try to get a career out of it. Um, but for you, Eric, anything you want to add to this?
Um, I guess like what Emil and Zuki both said are correct. I guess I agree on. I think you have the option of joining like a collegiate program, especially nowadays compared to years ago, or even compared to last year. Some programs are developing, and even if you have certain like specific niches within the esports industry, um, getting involved with these programs, they have them to offer, whether it's production, whether it's on like the marketing, whether it's on the competitive, even as like management side or coaching. But also like what Emil was saying, starting your own org, kind of like what I also did. For me, it allowed me to get my hands dirty and sort of like all the different parts of esports, knowing which side of the industry are what I enjoy slash like towards my strengths and which ones, I acknowledge that I need more sort of help on, or slash like need to learn more on. But yeah, I think both options are what I would say also for someone looking to get into the esports industry are worth considering. If you're not sure what particular part of esports you want to do, but you just know you want to be there, just get involved. Like what Suki was saying, you don't want to regret it a year from now. You want to make sure you could start. I think that's a quote of the day. Um, but yeah, that's what I also have to say. I think they both raised really good points. Just wanted to emphasize them a bit more.
It's all very good info. Everything you guys talk about is um it's it's just great info. It's something that I certainly would have loved to hear when I originally started out kind of working in esports. And speaking of working towards getting in esports, what do you think is something that people misunderstand about getting into the scene? Uh, is there anything in specific? Is it a more generalization? Maybe something that people just dream about that isn't the reality? What do you think is something that people are kind of misunderstanding in a generalist sense? Eric, do you want to start us off here?
That's a good question.
Is there something people
I,
maybe misunderstand about leading an esports organization, that something that you found out as you got into it?
For sure. Yeah, I guess one thing about it is like, when doing esports org, a lot of times I've noticed, and sometimes I even catch myself doing it too, where kind of tunnel in on a certain aspect too much, like for example, like the competitive side or like the community side without acknowledging, the others. Like if you're focusing too much on competitive, just making sure you can also provide the community with different outlets, the content slash insights on just to grow all, which is like community content and competitive, just making sure you're not leaving one left behind. You see orgs focusing too much on one, and over time, um, it's hard to recover. But yeah, I guess that would be what I would say is one that's misleading. Just if you were to do esports, just making sure you understand the facets that come into it, not just the parts that you want to do.
It's very good information there. Emil, what about you? Is there anything you want to touch up on?
yeah, I think the biggest risk or mistakes I've seen in esports for people really wanting to come in is unfortunately how big our passions are for it and how much we're willing to give up for that. People need to know their worth. People need to do their homework. Don't jump into projects without understanding what you're getting into, who's running it, how it's being run. Don't undervalue what you bring to the table. I'm not, a lot of this industry is propped up by volunteer, and that's fine. Like, volunteer is absolutely laudable, but don't accept to do things for too long without getting the value that you're actually bringing to the table. And know what you're getting into. If you're getting into an org that has absolutely no revenue, that's fine. You know what you're getting into, but at least hope that there is an inflection point at some point. And if you're into graphic art, if you're into casting, if you're into production, there are ways of, getting paid or getting value for the work that you're putting in, regardless of how passionate you are for it. So there's two sides to that coin. Definitely, there's a way to get in the door, and just want to get some experience. And there is a catch 22 at some level where you're like, well, I have no experience. I have to do it for free until I get experience. And then just be careful not to fall into that cycle. And two, yeah, be aware of how crazy and immature the industry actually is. Like, jump in with both feet for sure, but have your eyes wide open kind of thing. There's a lot of sketchy things that have happened in esports over the years, and mostly because people want to get in so bad that they're ready to just sign anything and accept anything. So take your time, find the right place, find the right people, surround yourself with people you trust, and people you actually have fun with. And Eric and I talked about this on Monday. Everything underlying esports is not really about money. Nobody's making a killing out there. It's more about finding the fun and keeping it fun.
Well, that's very good info there. I mean, yeah, there's certainly a lot that goes on in the back side that people don't always see. And for laundry, for you, is there anything in specific that you've seen that people are might not from your perspectives?
I think like one of the mistakes I've like personally made was doubting myself in terms of thinking that belong I don't belong in this space. There will like wherever you go, there's going to be people that will have like implement their own doubts onto you, and then like you may fall into this spiral of I'm not worth it. Um I don't belong here, and I think that's like one of the mistakes I've made. And but going through that has very much shaped my view on pursuing careers that some people don't think are feasible, as long as I personally think as long as you do the research and you build things up slowly, not get too hasty and um drop absolutely everything, and I mean everything in for a career that may not be too I guess sustainable right now. Um but there's no shame in getting experience, but like I've said before, it's good to have a backup plan, and it's also important that you don't undervalue yourself. And I have been guilty of undervaluing my own art, and I promised myself starting this business, the price is what I say it is. And no one at art shows should be bargaining with me about prices of my prints and my stickers and my keychains and all my merch. So, yeah, I think like moral of the story is don't doubt yourself, do your research, and never undervalue your work.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of unfortunate things that can happen in the industry, but a lot of great things. There's so many. I mean, there's so many kind of glory stories of things breaking out, or in good ways, of course. And yeah, it's such a big field full of passion. Um, so as you're all were saying, just I mean, not undervaluing yourself is a very big thing that I think a lot of people, including myself and people on this panel, uh, are kind of guilty of. Um, but I just want to give one quick question. Is there any specific roles or things that you've wanted to try or look into more in esports that maybe you haven't had the chance to? Maybe it's just a willful dream. Is there anything in specific that you guys think would be cool, but maybe haven't looked too much into or just haven't had the chance to look into? And why don't we start you off, Neil? Why don't we start with you?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Something that we think could be cool, but that we haven't done?
Yeah, so an example for me maybe I really like working with kind of bigger companies trying to work sponsorships. But
Mm,
that's something I just haven't had the chance to do yet.
mm,
So that'd be my example. Is there something like that for you guys? Maybe it's part of the production of esports, maybe it's part of the big
yeah.
events.
Um, yeah, everything I've wanted to do, I tried doing. But I think kind of the next big things I'm focused on is government recognition for esports.
Mm,
So that's what we're lobbying at the Quebec and the Canadian esports federations is to get it more recognized, to unlock dollars for projects like Eric's projects, for projects like Humber, um, to really get these grassroots organizations and tournaments and leagues and esports projects in general just better funded, better structured, and more mainstream. So that's our big focus. That's my big focus. Not sure I'd qualify it as cool, but I think it's super important. On the cool side of things, I've for the longest time been very interested in how to create a better viewer experience in esports. We, especially during COVID, we're looking at things like virtual reality crowds and stuff like that. The Twitch experience for me, anyway, is just subpar to what it could be, less interactive than what it could be. And that's why we're probably seeing watch parties and co streams and Discord stuff taking more and more space. So that's a place where I'd love to put some brain power in eventually, but I'm kind of at capacity now with everything I'm doing. But I'm hoping it's something that evolves with time. I think there's a lot of potential there.
I certainly don't think I wouldn't call working with governments to try to get our governmental
Nobody's
bodies,
ever
and
qualified working with governments as cool, but
I would
definitely
consider it pretty cool
interesting.
if everything comes out. And I saw some postings where you were trying to get or talking about the Olympics,
Yeah.
working with esports, and how that's unfortunately going, from at least what I saw. Maybe a turnaround, but I'm not too sure. Um, I think that's pretty cool, and I think it's like very cool future. So I certainly wouldn't discount that. Maybe cool is not the
Absolutely.
right word I was looking for, but
Interesting.
regardless, here, Eric, what about you? Is there anything you've always kind of wanted to do, or something you plan to get into there?
I mean, like something I've always wanted to do was, to explore the player side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but no. But all jokes aside, I think something fun in the esports industry that I've always also been interested slash wanted to explore more falls under the like live events, the curation of live events, as well as online broadcasting production and just how to heighten the user experience, how to increase like opportunity for more than just like the spectator mode, streaming the game with casters. Like, what else can we do? There's so much like creativity that can go into the creation of a broadcast. And so, I've always been interested in seeing how to, and it's similar to what Emil was saying, but more so on this side, but on just how to increase that user experience as well. When it comes to in-person broadcasts, in-person events, being able to see all the fans come together and support. I think that's just like an amazing opportunity to be a part of. Just learning more on how they get it done, the logistics side of it. Recently, Cupid competed in ALGS Champs, which is the Apex World Championship in Sapporo, and just so being able to see an event that scale with fans across the world flying over, like that immediately caught my interest, and just understanding more like behind the scenes on that is something I'm hoping to, get my hands into as well.
Yeah, a lot about the user experience kind of shows that there's something maybe needing assistance there. But what about you, Lanvi? Is there something you've wanted to get into, maybe with your art career or esports in general, or really anything? What is something you are wanting to get into there?
So as of right now, like I said, I do have a online storefront, but I would like to be um attending more in-person events and selling my art. I am going to two local like art markets slash card shows
Hmm.
to sell my art. But I kind of want to be able to go to bigger like events in NA. I would like to go to more like conventions and sell my art there. Like I know Toronto Game Expo is coming up soon in November or somewhere late in the fall. Um I also wanted to go to like vend at um Anime North, but as of right now that is way out of my budget. But and like Fan Expo as well. And I mean, as of recently, I have been volunteering at Humber as a caster, and that was pretty fun. I was casting
Oh
League of
yeah.
Legends. Yeah, I've had a few good moments, and like I think my I guess inexperience does show from time to time, but there's some clips in the highlight reel, but um I feel like casting and is a fun little thing I kind of wanted to try out here and there in esports. But other than that, what else would I want to do? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it would be like cool to like make art like officially for like any Riot game out there
Hmm.
or participate in like, Riot's new card TCG Riftbound and do some cool stuff with them. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
There's a lot of different things that I've heard excitement from, at least from you guys. I want to hit one final question. We are kind of running out of time, but this is one I just wanted to quickly hit from you guys. What is something that excites you about the future of gaming and esports? Is there anything in specific? Maybe it's a potential future uh, that isn't realized yet, or that might not be realized, but you think would be really cool if something were to happen in that. Emil, you were kind of talking about it with the Emil and Eric, I guess. We're talking about it with the user interaction. Is that something you're excited for in the future? Is maybe something else you wanted to touch on? Why don't we start you out?
Yeah. Um, Interactivity for me is definitely a huge thing, just in entertainment in general. So on the video game side, I'm very much liking these transmedia approaches that people have been taking. So not only do you have a video game, you have a Netflix show, you have merchandise, you have physical products. You're essentially kind of building a whole ecosystem of intellectual property around what was initially a game. I'm really really liking that. And when I was a kid, video game movies were pretty much chalked off as like terrible pieces of entertainment. While as now, I mean, you look at stuff like Arcane, and it's like, holy crap, this is one of the best series I've ever seen in my life, and the most expensive series ever created. But um, on the so that's for me on the video game side. I can see that evolving. I would love to see how more interactive and more integrated we get with other pieces of entertainment or other software like TikTok, like Snapchat. Gaming is already a big piece of that, but just more evolution. And like I mentioned with Twitch. And then on the esports side, yeah, just a better way, like a better fan experience. We're having a really hard time in esports with monetizing fans and creating fan engagement and fan loyalty to organizations, which is why a lot of them are having problems generating revenue outside of sponsorships. They're highly leveraged on sponsorship dollars or on the league actually propping them up. So, better ways of finding that loyalty, that engagement with fans. And I think that comes through interactivity. But I'm not sure what the solution is. And that's kind of what excites me is nobody's figured it out yet, like I said earlier.
It's really cool. What about you, Eric? Is there something you're excited about for the future of gaming and esports?
I guess like kind of what Emil touched upon at the very end, the keyword solutions, seeing, right now the industry is so new, a lot of things are left unanswered. So just seeing how things develop, what kind of solutions or progress have been made to answer certain questions, and just seeing how that whole thing unfolds. And I guess outside of that, and just focusing more so specifically on like esports orgs, what I'm excited on is also just seeing how, us working alongside the game host, the game organizer, how we can work together to not only create a better fan experience, but also a way to for an org to be sustainable, to work and collaborate with the org to help provide that fan experience. A lot of the orgs are down and ready to work with these game hosts, with Riot, with whoever it may be. Just making sure that those opportunities are really developed, and I'm excited to see how those go on in the future because a lot of the fans, that's what they want. They want to know more about the players. They want to see what happens behind the scenes with these teams. And I'm excited to be able to for the day where that opportunity really becomes concrete, and we can really provide that fan experience.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan myself, I would love it if there's more ways to connect with my favorite teams, my favorite content creators, or however it may be. But for you, Lanvi, what about you? What's your future excitement? Could be something art related that you're excited for. Could be esports, whatever it may be.
Kind of a tough question. I mean, I'm excited to see how things develop for sure. Um, I'm kind of a person where I like to like sit in the back and see how like things go.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I do like getting involved. Uh, but one thing I do did especially with my experience in esports last year was I was able to with like VCT Toronto happening. Um, I was actually able to meet the whole entire like Fnatic roster um last year, and I was also able to meet I was able to meet some players from Gen G and Team Liquid at the time too. Yeah, I it was a it was very fun as a fan to be able to meet some of my favorite esport players, and having like more events like that where fans are able to meet their favorite players and also content creators and casters and etc. would be very fun. It would be really cool. And for in terms of like the art side, since like I want to say, especially with some of my fellow artists who I've met at the VCT Toronto Artist Alleys, like having Valorant fan art or like League of Legends fan art is kind of it's pretty niche. So
Hmm.
I would like to see like some of us creators and artists expand, I guess, the market, and hopefully there's more fans out there, seeing like the fan base grow so that we can have a bigger community and a more interactive community, especially during these events.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see. I mean, you could just imagine Riot affiliated fan art. Would be so
Hmm.
cool to see things like
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of future excitement. But as we're heading into kind of the final parts of this amazing panel that I've had such a pleasure hosting here, I'm gonna have to give you guys a quick shout out to our sponsors. We were talking about how sponsors really help the scene, and they certainly helped out CIE. Two big sponsors here, BMO and One of Zero. But first, BMO to help you focus on what is important. BMO has checkings and savings accounts, credit cards, and borrowing options specifically designed for students. If you open a BMO student account and get up to $950 in value, including $175 with cash with BMO's current student offers. You can visit bmo.com/students for details or exclamation mark BMO in chat for more details. Next up, BMO has BMO Next Level, which is a first of its kind gaming program dedicated to helping gamers level up in game and IRL. Run by Sean Frame, who I just have to note, personal side note, he is a great guy. I've met him personally. He's amazing. He really does have a lot of passion for what he does. But he's BMO's gaming relations specialist. Sean brings a commitment to helping viewers achieve their financial goals and has a passion for gaming as an active member of the community. To learn more details on BMO Next Level, you can do BMO NXT LVL or BMO Next Level in chat for more details. And lastly, we have one of zero, exclamation mark one, the number one of the number zero in chat for more details. One of zero has supplied 6 gaming mice for CIE to help you make you better at what you do. You can type exclamation mark raffle in the main channel, the CIE underscore GGs, the channel we're in right now, for a chance to win one of 6 gaming mice supplied by one of zero. Code like a maniac, design like a guru, and game like an assassin. Take pride in your setup and look good while you achieve it all. Discover your inspiration, defy definition, and be one of zero. Again, to learn more, type exclamation mark, the number one of the number zero in chat. And just as we're heading into this last part again, do you guys have any shout outs you want to do? We can start off with Eric. Anyone or anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to CIE for hosting this event. Shout out to Lexi for inviting me onto this, and also I guess shout out to Cupid Esports. Keep supporting us as we compete for the rest of the year, and hope to deliver good news to our community. Thank you.
And Lonvi,
Suki, you want to go?
anyone?
For me,
Want to go? Any shout outs?
um, yeah. So thank. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the invite for from CIE and all the staff and the admin that invited me here today. Um, And then quick little shout out to everyone who has been supporting my business on and my storefront, Suki Studios. If you guys want to follow, it's Suki Studios dot art on Instagram, and all my links are in my link tree in the bio. And big shout out to my little support network. You know who you are, and big shout out to Humber Esports for getting me here today. Yeah.
No particular shout outs for me, but like Eric and Suki said, just happy to be able to contribute to this. Think it's a really cool series of events you guys are organizing. So hats off to you for doing this, and hats off to everyone who's getting involved or watching or just contributing to the space. Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, and I'm sure to any of the people you see on the screen right now. If you do want to get involved, if you have questions, if you want to, have connections or be introduced to anyone, it's a small space. We do need people with passion and people that want to build things. So yeah, get involved if you can. Is my overall message for sure.
Well, thank you all certainly for coming on the panel. It's so much amazing information from all of you. Really great insight to a lot of things that just kind of tickled my mind in the right way. uh, but unfortunately, we are going to have to close up here real soon. If you guys want to come back, up next, we have a build your own game panel talking with some people in the industry on how you build your own game and the steps around that. That's going to be at 2 p.m. PST or 5 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time for that. It'll be up just about half an hour here. So if you guys want to stay tuned, we're going to head off for a bit and we'll be right back with you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.